go. Everyone is going to praise his show. They're going to praise it. I'm not. I'm not going to praise it. Yes, I'll acknowledge what happened on it, but I'm not going to praise this show. The show sucked. I don't care what anyone says. There's still no build to WrestleMania 34. There's really no build here much. And when it comes down to it, it's still a sucky show. Mind you, the thing that happened at the beginning and end of the show, I will talk at the end and give my thoughts on what the long-term viability about Daniel Bryan is. But when it comes down to it, this show sucked. I didn't get a chance to see much of Shinsuke Nakamura dealing with Rusev and Aiden English. I don't know if it was a match or just that there was something that was said. My cousin called up and I had to find out what was going on. Everything's alright. She's fine. She just wanted to check up. Actually, she checked up on me. So that was actually a nice thing. But I didn't get a chance to see what was going on. By the time I caught it, Shinsuke was in a ring, partially getting his butt beat up by Rusev and Aiden English. AJ was at ringside. So my guess is it might have been a match with maybe, Aiden English again or Rusev again? I don't know. In the end, it didn't really matter because once Shinsuke got in that mood, he kicked their asses. And AJ, who looked like he was going to go in and help him, did not go in. Because he didn't need to. In the back. Was it effective? No. Know why? Because we heard it already once, twice. Twice to near 3 times before. I'm coming to get you. I'm going to put knee to face. Yeah, he did change it up and say, be more confident, AJ. Fine. But the problem is, it's still the same thing. Maybe you change the words, one word. I want to hear a little bit more from Shinsuke. I know he's not a great talker in English. I'm not saying to let him have huge, lengthy conversations. He just isn't that great of a talker in English. Unless he really is and they're making him act more Japanese than normal. But if they're not, he's not really great with the English language. But it does not mean he can't cut a good promo. Just got to be incredibly short. Or he can do something entirely different. Do some type of skit in the back to really emphasize how interesting and crazy he is and eccentric he is. I want to see more of that eccentric nature. Just going like this is not enough sometimes. You need to show a little more. And that's why I felt like it was dropped. Now, so this is a surprise. Baron Corbin against Ty Dillinger. What? How many months has it been since we've seen Ty? Someone tell me below. As far as I know, it's been almost 4 to 5 months. I say 5 months. 5. We have seen him in the back. In some video packages or being part of something. But by himself in a ring with someone to wrestle, it's been maybe 5 months. I could still be wrong about the time. But here's the thing. It meant nothing. One, Baron came out. Ty was already in the ring. He wasn't allowed to do his intro. He wasn't allowed to have his theme song. And in the end, they're still doing the same stupid thing where, as far as I understand, because he's so popular, they're not going to play his intro music anymore. They're not going to let him go down the ramp and be shown. They just don't want him to be seen because he's more popular than other wrestlers they want to push. So it really makes me feel sorry for him. In the end, he lost. Unless they're going to do some type of angle where he's going to start losing and turn heel, what is the point of Ty? None. And I got to say this. Knowing how the company is, they'll pay you even if you're not working in the ring. They'll pay you in the back. Just to sit there and do absolutely nothing. Just to be filler workers. To be workers at maybe some house shows, well, live events as they call them. He has a choice. He can do like most people did, like Damian Sandow, like Cody Rhodes, like Brandy Rose. I'm sorry I said Brandy instead of Mandy Rose. I'm sorry. I said that was a mistake. But the point is, he has a choice. He either can stick it out, keep collecting money, and he'll be able to take care of his family and himself. And if they never throw him in the ring anymore, whether he's hurt or not, so be it. as long as he's getting the check. Or he can demand, and if he gets nowhere, he can leave. He can demand to be seen, and if they don't listen to him, he can leave and do like most wrestlers have done, go back onto the independents and basically hash out a life that way. You'll have your wrestling, you'll have what you feel like you deserve, but you get a less of a paycheck. It's going to be up to him. I used to say, well, if you're not getting the recognition you deserve, go. But let's be honest, it's not easy being on the independents, and if you don't have already a big backlog of money, in other words, a savings account of a huge amount of money, you got to do whatever you got to do. So he's going to have to make that call. Charlotte versus Natalya. It looked okay because Natalya was working with Charlotte, who Charlotte knows very well. Charlotte mostly carried the match. And I know people are going to start, if no one's really said it, but I challenge someone to explain to me why you love her so much, knowing full well that she botches so much. Look what happened to Fastlane and Ruby Riott. Ruby had to carry that match, and when she wanted to slam her face into the turnbuckle by having it on her neck, wrapped around her leg, Ruby Riott's legs wrapped around Charlotte's neck, and the only thing she had to do was straighten herself out and just look like she was bending. She was already bent all the way forward, and Ruby had to do it herself. She didn't even make it look right. So you tell me, someone challenge me, tell me, why should I actually care about Charlotte when she still looks very green, very botchy, and should have stayed on NXT until 2018 and then came to the ring, having an extra 2 to 3 years worth of time to try and improve herself, because like I said it before, she doesn't work like her father. Her doing the flip like her father looks really awkward. She doesn't strut like her father. And I know people say she's a girl. It doesn't matter if she's a girl. A girl can strut just as good as a guy. She needs more work. She's still sloppy, and because her dad pushed her to be there so early, she's showing it. So when you look at this match, in the end, it made no difference. In this case, having Carmella, because I forgot just now, I had to look at my notes. Carmella comes out to try and cash in. She doesn't cash in, and in the end, Natalya gets the pin. What does that mean? Are we going to have Natalya, Charlotte, and Asuka? It shouldn't happen, but you never know. Now, that kind of reminds me of what happened with the U.S. title. What did I say? And I know a lot of people are angry that Jinder Mahal is going to be in a triple threat WrestleMania. I didn't say I agreed. I didn't say I disagreed. Only thing I've ever said is this. As much as people want to shit on Jinder Mahal, and I think one person called them Needles Mahal. That's actually pretty funny. But I see it as what it is. The guy is a mid to undercarder. And like I said, yeah, they tried to get him to have that position of being a champ because they were going to India. And maybe, and I said this before, you need to give undercarders and mid-carders a chance because you don't have any main eventers. You got to throw one of them up there to try and see what happens. And I got to ask anyone, tell me, if EC3, when he comes to the main roster, if he's considered a jobber and a mid-carder and they throw him there, aren't you going to be happy because you already know how good he is from Impact Wrestling? The man can get the work done in the ring. The man is an incredible promoist. The guy's got charisma. He's got the look. If he's thrown to the main card, you'd be happy because you know he had talent. But what happened if he didn't have any talent and you need to see him to show his talent? That's why I'm glad to see Jinder Mahal get that spot. Doesn't mean I thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just glad it was done, just like I've said for more than 2 years. Put mid-carders and undercarders in the main event and see what you get. What do you see here? Do you see a very good promo from Jinder Mahal? No. Not a great promo. He went back to the same stupid thing of saying that everyone hates me because I'm Indian. And they don't want to give someone who's not like them, a white American, an opportunity. He didn't need to go there. It's stupid. He already gone through that, and it's a boring, old, used way of doing things for him. I'd rather see him do something entirely different. But in the end, this is where it went. And then you got the two in question. You got the Bobby Roode and the Randall Keith Orton. And I got to say this. I'm not into two things. One, I wonder if he's actually happy having the U.S. title. I'm not saying he's mad about it, but I wonder if he's really happy, because out of all the titles he's held in that company, that's the only one he never went for, or they gave him. So I'm kind of hoping that he's happy and recognized as a Grand Slam champion. Hope he is. And I hope he's kind of taking this into, like, you know, I could be going after the heavyweight title or the universal title, but you know what? I'm going to do this with the U.S. title. Yeah, it ain't much, but I can make something out of this. I can try and have some fun with this. I can try and do something different. Never know. That's what I'm hoping for him. And was this promo right? It wasn't bad. It was okay. In the end, we had a standoff. And now that's how they're going to go into WrestleMania. Probably challenging one another until then. We got like 2.5 weeks. I'm hoping they don't make them wrestle too much against each other, because then you're going to see everything they all have. And I know someone's going to say, Needles Mahal, we've already seen absolutely everything. He's got nothing. Look, I'm just seeing it from the perspective, if you're going to go down this route with all three of them, try to keep them separate as much as you can. Fighting or not, just try to keep them separated so we don't get so bored so easily. Even he can be even more boring than he is if you see the same thing over and over again. And I know a lot of people can say, yes, I've seen it. But I'm just going by people who have not. I'm seeing this from a large perspective, not just a total Mark's perspective. And I don't believe myself as a total Mark, but I know I'm Markish to a certain extent. I don't want to know everything. That'll ruin it for me. Anyway, I gotta say it. Tag team match made me mad. I'm glad to see that Becky Lynch is still being cheered. But why? Why are they doing a tag match with the Riot Squad, with Becky and Naomi? Why? Where's the story for them? Are they not going to write any stories for them? So my guess is, if they're going to write any stories, it'll be after WrestleMania, because they're focusing everything on WrestleMania, which isn't much. You know, I would have thought that Asuka would have shown up on Smackdown Live to mess with Charlotte more than Carmella trying to cash in. That would have been better. I'm just saying. And in this case, seeing this, you know what would have been better? Seeing Naomi having a problem with Becky. I would like to see Becky turn on Naomi. Let Becky be the heel and let Naomi be the face. I know people are cheering Becky, but you know what? Try something. Both of them are pretty much liked. Why not do something? Let me see. Am I forgetting anything? No, I don't believe I am. If I'm forgetting anything, I'm sorry. The opening and closing of the show. I know you've seen the title here. And you think because of what happened there, that's what I'm talking about. No. Actually, I'm not talking about how long he will last because of the beatdown he received from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But let's go through this. Opening of the show. Seeing Daniel Bryan come out and say, I'm now cleared. And he really showed it heartfelt to a certain extent. It pulled on many people's heartstrings that he now can finally wrestle. I really believe he was being mostly genuine to how he felt because of what Brie was telling him to continue not giving up and try to get the correction you needed for your injury and to finally wrestle again. And I believe that was probably the best thing to do. And in my case, as someone who understands someone who was injured and wasn't able to do whatever they wanted, as a person who is disabled, to see that a guy can now get back to being who he once was, I'm happy for him. Now, at the end of the show, got Kevin Owens coming out, got Sami Zayn coming out, saying that they're so happy that he's alright. And then Daniel Bryan laid the axe down on him, saying simply, I don't get you two. Why the hell did you do that? Shane was going to leave. Shane gave you a match at WrestleMania against one another. You had your dream. He was going to leave and you got WrestleMania, even if you had to challenge one another. I don't get you. Why did you do it? Because you did this, I got to do something I don't want to because I've been in your corner. I was living through both of you because we all came up together. We're friends. We've known each other for 15 years. I've known you for years. And he says, "You're fired." Not in the deep voice, but you know what I mean. And he wants a handshake from both of them. And they pretty much kicked his freaking ass. No problem. We already know what's going to happen in WrestleMania. It's obvious they're going to use Shane, and it's going to be Daniel Bryan and Shane versus the two knuckleheads and the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'm not saying in real life they're knuckleheads. This is just how they wrote them. But now, my thoughts on what my title is. He's back, but for how long? Look, I got to say this. I want to make this really clear. I'm not against Daniel Bryan wrestling. Excuse me. I'm not against him wrestling. But I'm seeing it from this perspective. Just because the guy finally got cleared and can wrestle again doesn't mean he's going to wrestle long. There are a lot of people who came back from bad injuries, who had to get corrective surgery, and didn't last very long. Look at Edge. Edge came back for a certain amount of time, and then eventually he had to go back out again, and that time was the final time. I'm seeing it in this perspective. Yeah, he's back. Yeah, and they'll probably let him do constant wrestling, but they're going to be watching his ass. For even one moment that he shows he's actually injured again, they will pull his ass off TV instantly and either make him a GM or make him something else. They will not risk the lawsuit, the possible lawsuit, or any type of danger they put him in. So, in that respect, when it comes to the WWE, I can see this not lasting very long. They don't feel 100% comfortable, even with the clearance. But here's another thing that I believe might happen. There's no guarantee that he's going to do a long run. There's a good possibility he may come back for maybe 1 or 2 years as a wrestler, and then he's gone again. For the simple reason that traveling for almost 300 days out of the year is a heavy strain on the body, heavy strain on the mind, and heavy strain on the family. As a family man now with a baby called Birdie Danielson, I don't believe he's going to wrestle constantly. Eventually, he may finally call it a day and stay out of wrestling. Next, his body's going to get beat up again. He could re-injure himself again. And if he doesn't hurt his body too much and re-injure himself to the point where he's got to go back out again, he will leave on his own. I just do not believe he's going to stay there for very long. Maybe a maximum of wrestling of 2 years. 3 at the most. And he will be done. I would rather see him become a person who makes his own company, a trainer company, just like a dojo for wrestling. Like what happened with Santino Marella. He went and made his own dojo. That's what I'm hoping for Daniel Bryan to do. That eventually he works another 2 or 3 years, and then he goes out and then opens up his own training school for wrestling, and he will teach people the way he was taught by Shawn Michaels. That's the way I believe it would be best for him in the end. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below, and I know people are going to be angry about it, but this is how I feel. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.